This is the Self-Taught or Not podcast with
Dylan Israel
and Eric Hanchett, where we teach you the do's and don'ts of software development from two software development professionals, one self-taught and one not.
All right. So today we have a topic that is near and dear to my heart, in all honesty, and that is side projects.
Yeah, side projects is a fun topic because I think as a developer, everybody likes side projects. It kind of keeps our minds going, and you can earn some money on the side. And I have a lot of them. Dylan has a lot of them, so I'm looking forward to dig into this.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those items where, anytime I'm looking to do something in my life, if possible, I like to hit as many sort of checklists as possible and, kill like 11 birds with one stone and just make it a massacre. Side projects could be one of those things where not only are you learning, you're building your portfolio, you're making some money, and it's just providing so much value.
Yeah, exactly. I use it a lot of times if I want to learn a concept or I just learned a concept at work. To kind of solidify that, I'll add it into my side project.
So one thing that people sort of, I think, get scared about side projects and like maybe learning in general and like building things out is they always sort of have this mentality of like, well, somebody already built this, so why am I going to even bother?
Yeah, I mean, the way I deal with that is, I'm not doing it for someone else, I'm doing it for me. So if this side project is going to be valuable for me, then it's worth the doing. I will say though, it depends on your objective. Some of my side projects I do, like I would say YouTube is a side project of mine. So is YouTube for you, Dylan. And I'm also looking to teach other people, but I'm also looking to make maybe a few extra bucks at the same time. So obviously we don't get paid tons of money for YouTube or anything like that. It's mostly just a fun hobby. We do it for free. And actually we both did it for free for years, but it's, that's kind of the thought I have on that.
Yeah, and to me, like a good side project is one of those items that makes you like one thing I tell every sort of aspiring developer or anyone who just wants to go from junior to senior is find a way to be unique. And that could be, there's a ton of different ways. Like we happen to do it with YouTube. There's also podcasts and books, and there's a lot of different projects that don't oftentimes involve even writing code to have a good side project.
Yeah, there's so many different ways. I'll list off the side projects I've been a part of or I've done in the past. I've written books. I think that's kind of a big side project. I've done YouTube, as we just mentioned. I've done little apps. I've done one iOS app, which never made it to the iOS store, but I did it on like a hackathon. I've done a blog. So I've written tons of blog articles. I've created courses, which is one of my side projects. And that's all I can think of at the top of my head.
Yeah, I'm definitely in a similar boat between the YouTube channel, various courses, not only for myself, but for other organizations. One cool thing about sort of getting side projects out there is oftentimes it sort of builds that, that cliche word, personal brand, and you start getting offers for opportunities that maybe you wouldn't have done. I've built courses for a lot of different organizations, and, between writing the book that I'm writing and this podcast and, just even to a degree, you can start doing things like mentoring other developers as a side project, volunteering. Like I'll tell you one sort of thing my boss turned me on to. He's like, hey, I'd like for you to get good enough in sort of Angular to go and become a Google developer expert on it. And that could be a side project in itself.
Wow. Yeah, I know some people that are GDEs or Google development experts. Seems like that would be a really fun thing. I know you have to be recommended by someone from Google, and you have to be really involved in the community. Speaking of side projects, open source could be a good side project. So like just finding a project online, go to their GitHub page, look at look at the contribution guidelines, see if there's something you can contribute. A lot of open source projects too have, if you look in their list of issues, they have help wanted tags, and those are perfect. Like, especially if it's help wanted and it says like good for beginners, those type of tags are great for people just wanting to jump into open source for the first time and get into a little side project. I would say though, Dylan, wouldn't you say like the perfect first side project for a new developer is either create their own blog or create a portfolio site?
Yeah, I'm all for the portfolio site because I do think it's really important to be able to have your skills on display and actual code examples. And I'm very much so in support of creating something like a blog or a podcast or a YouTube channel or maybe a course, because I think the best side projects are the ones that can have a long-term effect that are, when you show that, hey, I've been working on this thing consistently for years, not only are you going to get better, that's one of the more impressive things that employers and potential managers and bosses can see.
Yeah, exactly. Anything you can do to make yourself learn more, and going back to the idea of of being able to kind of take a concept and then use it in multiple different places. So in other words, you might learn, maybe you're trying to learn Angular. So instead of just sitting down and reading a book or watching a Udemy course or watching one of our courses, you could watch one of those courses, then also at the same time build a site based on the Angular project, and then write down, like maybe in a blog, write down what you learned. Like, so now you're using one thing you're trying to learn and you're using it in like 2 or 3 different places.
Yeah, it's and that's one of the reasons I tell people that if you're not sure what to build, because a lot of times people sort of do this over analysis and then you get that paralysis aspect of it, and they just want to build something so perfect and they never get going. Just get going about something you're passionate about. Like if I happen to like MMA, and so like if I wanted to take that idea and be like, okay, I'm gonna build like a MMA website, and then I'm gonna build an MMA API, and then I'm gonna maintain that and maybe update the stats of it and add additional functionality, and like before you know it, you can there's always additional features you can add, but take something you're passionate about and start there.
Yeah, that's. Have you ever built a site based on like a passion? I'm trying to think if I have.
Actually, so of all the crazy side projects I've had, I have yet to actually launch a full web application. I'm currently working on one with a colleague of mine. It's very software based. So like apparently my passion is just making like e-learning materials is what I've decided around software. And so all my projects happen to be very software related.
I'll say one. I know one that I did. So there was this website where you could get free. I forgot, it might be still up, and I can't remember the name of it. Maybe I'll put it in the show notes if I remember. But it was basically a website where they gave out free Steam keys for different games, and all you had to do is anybody on this website could like post their Steam keys for free, and then give them away as giveaways. So you would go to the website and you would see on the front page, oh, there's 50 different contests running right now for all these different Steam keys. I need to click on each one of these to get entered into it. And then like in a week later, you would get an email letting you know if you won or not. And it was all random. So I was like, this has to be something I can automate because I don't want to, because it would like the challenges changed every day. And it looked, it was kind of a new website, but they didn't have much security. You just had to be logged in. So I looked inside Chrome and I looked at the network requests going back and forth, and I noticed that there was a post that I could do to this endpoint for each one of these buttons, and I got the ID of the buttons, and they were just incrementing up on the page, and then I could send over this cookie that didn't expire for like 365 days because it was my logged in cookie. And so I took all that information, I put together a little script. I think I might have reused Python this time. It was a Python script that basically did a command that sent that basically scraped the web page, grabbed the buttons for every single contest, and then pressed them all. And then it ran every like 20 minutes. And I had that running for like weeks, and I got like dozens of keys just because I did that. And then I think later they fixed it and they had a CAPTCHA or something. But for a while, I'm like, why not?
Yeah, rigging the system, man. They're like, dude, this one guy keeps on. This guy, a really dedicated guy here.
Yeah, because there'd be new contests. I'm like, oh, click on it. So yeah, that was a fun little side like project. I know a couple of my friends of mine Craigslist used to be not quite as rigid as they are now, but you used to be able to really scrape Craigslist really, really easily and use that information to be the first person to contact somebody. There used to be a free, I think there is, on Craigslist, there's like a free section.
Yeah.
So my friends created bots that would basically scrape the website every 5 minutes or 10 minutes and grab the latest information on the free part or a category they liked, and then they would have it text message to them or emailed it to them. So that way they could know every single free thing that comes up or whatever technology or whatever they were looking for. So they could be the first person to message. And then Craigslist has gotten really sophisticated in the last few years. Like they detect bots all the time and they have CAPTCHAs, and it makes it a lot harder.
Yeah, Craigslist is one of those interesting apps. I was reading an article a while back about how Craigslist has no intent of actually making money. Like they just, yeah, we're just going to maintain it. We don't really, this isn't one of those companies we care about making money. And like they could, but they just, whoever owns it, that their philosophy is like, oh, I'm good.
It's so awful. I always remember even 10 years ago, and I'm like, this thing is awful. It's ugly, but everybody uses it. And now it's starting to wane a little bit because people are starting to jump onto Facebook marketing and all the other, like a lot of companies have opened up that used to be different parts of Craigslist. But anyways, that's a little bit of a side tangent. I was going to just say that those were like two cool projects that I'm like, yeah, I want to try to game the system a little bit here.
Yeah, somebody could make a better Craigslist as a side project.
Yeah.
I still use it though. I use it to this day when I'm like looking to sell something, or like I'm okay buying something used, get rid of a piece of furniture or something like that. It
works.
seems to have a ton of action.
Yeah, that works great.
It's actually how I got my first internship, but I got a special place in my heart for Craigslist.
Craigslist. I did. Yeah, that's kind of the side projects I've done. Now I want to kind of differentiate here between a side project and something that makes you money, because you can get into side projects which are really like part-time jobs almost. And I just wanted to clarify that, because once you start making money, or if it's some kind of contract, then I would be careful with your employer on this. You might, a lot of employers have moonlighting forms that you have to fill out. Some employers have NDAs and non-competes. And some employers make you sign in something that says anything you make is basically theirs. So I would just be kind of cautious. I think 99% of the time, most employers are okay if you help your friend out with a website, or you're selling an online course or something. But like, let's say you work at an agency and you start offering your own agency work on the side, then you're in trouble.
Yeah, definitely. Once you start making, like my rule of thumb is, if you're going to make more than $100, you need to start thinking about it. And especially if it's in a space that competes with your employer, which probably, depending on the size of the company, can be quite a bit. I know that I've done some contract work for old employers, just like 2-3 months into starting a new job. And I always go to my manager sort of asking about that. But contract work, slightly different than side projects, but can definitely fall into that same realm at times.
Yeah. Or if one of your side projects become, I don't think this happens very often. Let's say you create a website and you're like, this is my new website that I want to do for a side project. And all of a sudden becomes the next Hacker News or Slashdot or Indie Hackers or something. And they're like, uh-oh, maybe I need to talk to someone in my work about this, because now it's actually earning real money. And so, but that's probably more of a, like you said, if you're building a company.
Yeah, that's one of those interesting things. I get asked all the time if I ever think of like quitting and like building a company. And it's like, I mean, I think about quitting and like just working for myself, but I never think about like, oh, I'm going to start a company. It's like, no, I've always, like, in my mind, a side project is just something that you build and maintain. And like, I've never had such a lofty goal of building something that is going to be that involves other employees, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, that's a totally different.
It's a different mentality. It's like some people want to build something that is going to grow and like grow exponentially. Like, to me, I'm like, yo, this made me $500 a month. I'm pretty stoked. All right. Anything we left out?
No, I think that's a good introduction of what's out there. I think if you are listening to this right now, I encourage you to pick up a side project, and then make sure you also tweet it out, let other people look at it. Don't keep it to yourself. See if you can get at least, if not some random person on the internet, maybe at least your friends or family to take a look at your side project, because it's so easy to create something and then either never finish it, or it just kind of sits and doesn't really help you at all.
Yeah, I have a friend who has a side project that he makes some money on, but doesn't do any social media, doesn't do any advertising. And every week I beg him to take his, it's a sort of a video platform that has to do with specific testing. And I beg him to go and make a YouTube channel and like funnel that to his side project. So like, if you have a side project that's making a little bit of money, and it's okay to market it. It may feel a little strange at times, but it's these things that once you have a finished product, or nowadays it's like once you have an alpha -2 product, go ahead and start talking about it and see it, because sometimes people feel things are so niche that it's not that. Sometimes that's the perfect thing, is that, yeah, there might be a small subgroup, but you're not always trying to take over the world. Sometimes it's just like, yo, man, there's a couple thousand people that are interested in this subject and no one's talking to them about it.
Exactly.
All right. So this was another episode of Self-Taught or Not. Look forward to next episode, which will keep you in suspense about what that's going to be. Hey guys, thanks for watching. If you want to find more about what I'm up to, go to dylanisrael.com.
And if you want to know what I'm up to, you can check out my website at eric.video. If you haven't already, please leave us a 5-star review on iTunes. It really helps us out. And if you do, you might even be featured on our next episode. Don't forget to check out the website at selftaughtornot.com. From there, you can sign up for a mailing list where we give away free courses and a bunch of cool stuff. And we'll also let you know when the next episode comes out. And finally, if you didn't know, we have a Facebook group. It's called Code, Tech, and Caffeine. We have over 10,000 members, and you can find the link at selftaughtornot.com. So come join us. We have tons of developers willing to help you guys, mentor you guys. Check it out. Just make sure you go to selftaughtornot.com and check out the Code, Tech, and Caffeine link. Thanks, and take care.